Hey guys, welcome to today's YouTube video, and today I'm going to be going over the Danish Gambit, considered one of the most aggressive openings in chess, and I'm just going to cover about 4-ish variations that you should know, but you're up to cover the rest. I can't cover everything, only one video, only so much I can show you, but I'll do my best. So Danish Gambit starts after e4, e5, and you play d4, the center game, and after e takes d4, you play c3. Now you'll notice this is very similar to the Smith-Morra Gambit, but it doesn't really have a similarity, unfortunately. And after c3, you play bishop c4, and you're going to sacrifice the second pawn for the bishop on b2, which is very strong bishop pair, just staring at the enemy king, and it's a nice, very aggressive position. So after c takes b2, you take back the bishop finally, and after knight to c6, you simply play knight out to f3, and after d6 to open up the bishop, it's a little bit passive blocking out this bishop, but it's the move. You just simply castle. Stay principled, get castled, and you can attack next. Now after something like bishop to g4, you already have a nice aggressive move that wins back material, queen to b3. And the idea of this is very simple. You are threatening to take the b pawn, and you are threatening to take the f pawn. Now after queen to d7, you have knight to g5, putting even more pressure on the f pawn. And essentially the only way for black to protect this pawn is to either play bishop to h5 or knight to h6. The other move is knight to d8, but that's just kind of sad looking, so I'm not really going to cover that. But for example, if white just, if black just continues like nothing's going on, you take on f7, and all of a sudden, black is completely lost with -5, because you just play knight c3, you're coming in with your knight. All your pieces are just staring at the enemy king, and the queen is going to get caught in the crossfire here. For example, if your king tries to run away, you simply play knight d5, and if knight takes, you just take back with the pawn, and now this is hit, this is hit. You can play maybe bishop to e6 and knight takes as well. You can put your rook on the e file, rook on the c file as well. I mean, your pieces are just really saying hello here. But let me go back to castles, because there's another line that I wanted to cover, which is the best line for black, and it's simply to trade off the light squared bishop here. And here you just play knight to d2, supporting the bishop with the knight, so you can take on your own terms. So after knight to f6, you actually want to take on their terms now, which is a little bit weird, I'm sorry. But after they take with the f pawn, you play knight to d5, putting pressure on this pawn. And after e5, here, you just play queen to b3. And it's simple. You're attacking the b pawn and the f7 square. This is a common theme. You're also attacking the e6 square maybe to get thrown in a check, but more importantly, the f7 square. So yeah, that covers the main line. We're going to go over a couple traps now. The first one you may recognize is very similar to the ICBM Gambit, also known as the Tennis Gambit. So just the same as before, just the same opening moves. You played bishop b2, and after d6, notice how they didn't play knight c6 first, protecting the queen, hint hint. You play knight out to f3, and after they play the natural move, pinning the knight, you have bishop takes f7, and after king takes, you have knight to e5 check. And if they take, you take the queen, and if they don't take, for example, king d7, you play knight takes g4. This is a common tactic, just taking on f7, forking that bishop. But more importantly, after castles, if for some reason you don't see that, after knight to f6, protecting the bishop now, you can play queen to b3, or you can play the more aggressive e5. They have similar evaluations, it's your pick. But I think this one's a little bit more flashy, because after d takes e5, you have bishop takes f7. And if black tries to guard their king with king to e7, you have bishop a3, winning the queen. So yeah, this opening is really aggressive. You can definitely trap your opponent very, very easily in this opening. I'm gonna go over the next one. So again, just the normal opening moves. This one's transposing from the Scotch, but this is just a different move order. Again, you'll notice that we're playing essentially the same moves, but we already played knight out to f3 and knight to c6. So just think of it as the next two moves are playing this, and now they play d5. And they shouldn't be doing this now because they developed the knight to c6, which is common in the Danish. Black develops knight to this square because you simply just take, and they may be like, aha, gotcha. I'm gonna get your bishop, but you simply just win the knight with queen to a4. So you don't really have to worry about d4, d5 getting in the way of your bishop. It's sometimes common in openings to play d4 to hit the bishop, but rest assured you don't have to worry about it in this opening because you can just take and win the knight essentially. And you don't have to worry about c6 because again, you just take. And after either knight takes c6 or after knight takes c6, you just castle, and look, all your pieces are active. He has one piece developed. Your pieces are all ready to attack. I mean, your position is just so dynamic here. You can attack your opponent very easily. Don't worry about being down a pawn here. It is +4. I'm sure you can handle it. Next, we're going to the Alkynes variation. I'm not saying Alyokins because I don't think that's the right way to pronounce it. You're an elitist if you think so, so whatever. e4, e5, d4, e takes d4, c3, d takes c3, and Alkyne recommends knight takes c3. And this is similar to the Goring Gambit from the Scotch game. So if you want to study this line a bit more in depth, go to the Goring Gambit, not necessarily this video, although I will show a couple lines. So after d6, which is a little bit passive, but it was classically popular like in the 20th century. So after bishop to c4, again, that's a very common square to put your bishop on in this kind of opening. They play knight out to f6, and you have this e5 move again. And if they take, you have bishop takes f7, king to e7 is the only move there. I'll show that line in a second, and I'm just showing that you can win the queen here. But king to e7, you take, and remove your bishop. Wait, sorry, that is not the move. I apologize. After king to e7, you play queen to b3, and you want to get your knight out to c6, knight c6, and you simply want to get your knight out and try to attack the enemy king rather than trading. You can also trade. Trading is also okay. You can simply just trade, I believe. You can simply just trade here. This is all right. Not the best line, but you can win one pawn back, but you're down a pawn. You don't really want to be trading queens. The line that I wanted to look at here is queen to e7, which is the best response from black. And basically here you're just going to develop your pieces and get castled. Again, usually in gambits when things don't necessarily go your way, you just want to play principal chess, develop your pieces, get castled, and then continue on playing aggressively. And not a moment before that. After they take the pawn, after moving the queen so you can't trade it, they take the pawn, and now you play queen to b3. Again, this is a very similar idea to all the other lines. And after bishop to d7, the reason they have to play this is because it's the only line to keep it equal for black. For example, let's say, it's actually kind of hard to find a different move here besides moving the bishop. But let's say, can't go there, queen d7, I guess. You have knight to g5. Attack the f-pawn, and it's just a really good idea in this opening. Attack the f-pawn. It's so weak in this opening that most of the time it'll just lend you a great advantage. Just attack the f-pawn. It's a very good idea. But our queen to b3, best move is bishop d7. Don't get greedy here. I want to show you what happens if you get too greedy and go pawn hunting. if you take the pawn on b7, you play rook b8, this is still okay. You can play queen a6 here and you're totally fine. But if you get greedy, this is a free pawn, right? Wrong, because rook to c8. And if you're like, oh, but that's okay, I just go back here. You're also wrong, because knight to a5 forks the pieces, and this is double attacked as well, so you can't go back and defend it. In fact, you kind of just have to retreat. Where do you even go to? I mean, one of the top moves is just taking the rook. Bishop takes f7, and then, yeah, queen to a6, so, I mean, this is -3. Don't do this. Don't get greedy. If you even take the pawn in the first place, don't get greedy. Just move. Your opponent doesn't have anything here. It's equal here. You'll be fine here. Now after rook to b6, this may look scary, similar to like rook to b3 in the England Gambit as black. You can just play queen a4. I know this also looks scary, lining up your queen with the bishop. But for example, if the knight moves, let's say here, you just have queen takes a7, because this knight is defending the pawn, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that's my basic tutorial for the Danish Gambit. Study it on your own, fill in the gaps on your own. I hope you have fun playing this gambit. It is a very aggressive gambit. It's very fun. You can get some really fast wins, or you can even have some just nice normal games where you play a little bit slowly and just have a nice aggressive position. Yeah, good luck in your Danish games. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you tomorrow.